when we keep doing, when we keep just looking at the dollar sign itself, like where does that lead to, right? Is that really fulfillment? Is that really happiness, right? Are we suppressing our emotions and creativity and intuition when living this kind of life, right? So to bring it back, into a perfect balance, that's where the feminine comes in, right? The feminine is where, there's creative, right? There's intuition. It's about flowing within the structure as well, right? It's about being connected with ourselves to really see love through unconditionally, right? To see love unconditionally, right? And to bring that balance back into the masculine structure that we have, now we get to learn to love ourselves a little bit more. And I think it goes way more than the self-love, the banner that we are waving. And, a lot of the modern day, we keep talking about self-care, treat yourself better. I think it goes deeper than that because we are all as a collective together, right? We are all citizens of the world. And in order to bring that balance back so that we have a perfectly harmonized societies in a perfectly harmonized planet that we can really live in this unity together, right? To love ourselves a little bit more is to take that step to really say, there's a better way of living together.
Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Today we have a special guest, Freeman Fung. He is an international speaker, a best-selling author, and certified life coach who has advocated global citizenship at TEDx, Mind Valley, World Tourism Forums, and more. Through his movement, Travel to Transform, he empowers individuals to unlock profound freedom by transforming both their inner and outer journeys. Originally from Hong Kong, he left home solo at age 19 to live in Romania for a global village project. What began as an escape from his struggling mundane life evolved into a transformative journey across more than 35 countries over a decade, shaping him into a thriving global citizen. Welcome, Freeman. It is a pleasure to have you.
Hello, Irina. Thank you for having me, and hello, everybody.
Yeah, awesome to finally speak with you. So please share with us who is Freeman in your own words.
Yeah, and pleasure to speak with you as well. I think we go back down to last year, right? We're in Estonia together in person, and then now we're, co-creating again to share more wisdom and insights with your audience. So yeah, it's such a pleasure. And who I am, thank you for the beautiful introduction. So yeah, like as you said, I'm a speaker, an author, and also a transformational coach as well. So at the end of the day, I'm on a mission to awaken more global citizens and also help making the world a better place through personal transformation. And that's the reason because I went through my own personal journey that, I grew up as an Asian kid. So I grew up in Hong Kong back in the days. I was born and raised there for 19 years of my life. But I was born in a really suffocating environment. Like Hong Kong is financially driven and very competitive, 24/7. Things are non-stop. And a lot of people, enjoy this kind of lifestyle. Don't get me wrong. Everyone have their preference. But as a kids growing up, I was told to get the grade, to get the A plus in every single subject in the education system. But I wasn't the smartest kids in class, right? And what's the worst thing for them being, the Asian kid who didn't get an A in mathematics, right? Is that being that kid and also the shortest one in class, right? So when I grew up in Hong Kong, I was troubled. I was troubled by self-esteem issue, and I found life no meaning, because everyone told me to get a job, get a certificate, get a promotion, get more money, get a family, and that's kind of how the ladder, right, looks like when we keep climbing higher and higher and higher. But I don't see myself to go further on that. So that was kind of like how I grew up when I wasn't really even emotionally capable of expressing myself as well. But there was something changed when I was 19 years old when I was studying in university, where I got the opportunity to solo travel for the first time in my life. And it sounds very random because, as you mentioned in my bio, I went to Romania. I went to Timisoara, and it's like I was the only Asian in that whole place because I was naive enough to think Europe is Europe, right? So I went there by myself, and that was the first turning point, the first tipping point in my life that I got to learn because I was living with 40 other international from 16 different countries. So it was very diverse international environment. And that was the first time I realized there is power in diversity, right? And I started realizing, maybe we're not here to learn to be the same like others, right? We are not just a cog in the big machines per se, right? But we are actually here to be ourselves, right? To be our true self, to be our authentic self, because we're just so unique, we can't be replaced, right? So that's kind of the first turning point in my life, where I start to see the world a little bit bigger than in my own bubble. And that set off the course for me to travel for over a decade afterwards, to live around the world, to relocate and experience life in different countries. And to a point, I was even getting paid to do that. Yeah. People thought I was living in a dream, right? To get paid to travel around the world. And I was living in the UK and in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I was traveling all over different continents, right? But guess what? Even though even though I was so young, I was looks like living the dream of the life. A lot of what my peers back in Hong Kong, they also want the same, right? But I actually wasn't happy deep down, right? I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling purposeful. And I didn't even know why back then because I didn't have the vocabulary, right? I didn't really have the opportunity to explain that. And again, I was still emotionally suppressed as an Asian male. Right. So for that, I turned into something else. By day, I was working for a multinational company, and by night, I was a DJ as well. So, I was playing in clubs, venues, and touring, playing in Ibiza as well, for those who might know, the 24/7 party in Spain. And I was having like such a good time, but I was drinking so much alcohol as well. And I start really trashing my body, and I start losing my mind, body, and spirit, into a void, right? Into an emptiness, thought, I'm going to find happiness by doing more, right? By playing more gigs, by achieving more. And, like that set me up into another ladder I didn't foresee. So it was around 2019 in December. I moved from Singapore to Sydney, Australia, where I'm based now. And finally, it finally blew up, my mental health because I first moved there, experienced Australian bushfire, and then COVID lockdown right away. So I really hit a rock bottom at that time. I had nowhere to go. I couldn't travel anymore. And I was also troubled by CFS as well, chronic fatigue syndrome. And I was troubling by severe insomnia. I couldn't sleep. And even though when I could fall asleep, I was troubled by nightmare. And I also lose most of my saving in the stock market at that time during COVID. So everything all happened at once. And that was the time where I would say, I got the opportunity to reclaim my life. Really, because I finally realized, okay, rather than looking at all the modalities and relying on, a pharmaceutical industry or doctor to help me, I realized no one could really help me unless I help myself. Right. So that's the time where I finally got the opportunity to pause from all the travel, from all the alcohol, from all the parties, and even my full-time job. I was only working 3 days a week because I was in the tourism industry, so I didn't even know whether I'm gonna have a job, whether I still have my work visa at that time. But that created a beautiful space for me to not only travel hours as I've been doing for over a decade, but I finally have the time to pause and create a space to travel inwards as well. So through a deep process of finding myself through going through a personal transformation from the inside out, I finally, wow, find another important piece or pieces, I should say, of myself as well, and to combine that identity I've created as a traveler, right? And putting all together, wow, like this transformation have unlocked doors I've never imagined I'll be unlocking, right? And fast forward 3.5 years to almost 4 years now, as you and I, we have been both serving in this amazing platform called Mind Valley, which is the world's biggest self-growth platform, right? And we are both certified life coach there, and we have co-author books together now, several books down in the pipeline as well, and really helping people to find their freedom. Because after this personal transformation process, I realized, wow, if we can help more other global citizens, other citizens of the world to be able to see the same, and more freedom seekers to find happiness from within, right? To be able to explore the world on one hand, to explore this amazing world that has to offer, but at the same time aligning that with our inner world as well, our mind, body, spirit, right? When we combine them both, this is what I call travel to transform, because we literally are transforming exponentially as we are going out venturing in the world. So this has become our life work, and that's why I said it's a long story to explain my mission statement, I know, but I'm here to awaken more global citizens together, because there's no better place to be than on Earth together to create a beautiful planet together through transforming ourselves from the inside out. And we are all on this collective journey together, and we are all here to raise our consciousness together as a collective.
Yes, beautiful. I love that. And I'm fascinated by your story, getting to travel at young age of 19 and then having that experience. I think it was beneficial, allowed you to see that what how people live outside of your local hometown, and you saw something different for yourself. And then, traveling across 35 countries. And finally, when COVID hit, you were forced to kind of tanker down. You couldn't travel anymore, and it was an opportunity for you to explore your inner world. And what is it that make you tick? What is it that you need, because you weren't fulfilled from all your travels? You weren't able to find the thing that kind of, I guess, ignited your soul. What are you
Mm.
passionate about?
What I'm passionate about. So, as I say, I think travel to transform is really the movement that I'm creating. Because we are living in a globalized age now, right? Everything is globalized, right? The reason that you and I can connect through this technology and the audience can listen to maybe through a headphone, through their laptop, through their mobile, whatever that piece of technology is, we have moved so quickly in this path of human evolution, right? As societies as a whole. But that's the interesting thing, because while technologies are globalized, human consciousness aren't. And what that means is the conscious awareness of us being a human, right? That wasn't really part of the curriculum in traditional education. And I'm very fortunate to be able to travel so much, to around the world, to explore new cultures, to shape myself into a different person by understanding, there are more to what I've already learned, right? There are more other ways of living than what I had back in Hong Kong, right? There are way more meaningful connections or modalities or people, values in their life than what I perceive, right? Maybe from a commercial driven societies that money is the most important thing in life, of finance or career or a job, right? Versus some cultures, they may value spirituality, they may value happiness, right? So what I'm so passionate about now is to be able to help people to see through the layers of life, right? To be able to create what I call a multi-passionate life as well. And this is where, I help a lot of my clients, because when they come to me, right, is that they say, Freeman, I love traveling around the world, and I want to have an amazing, healthy body, and I want to be able to spend a lot of time to read, to learn, right? And I want this, I want that, but I just don't have time. Right. I just feel like I'm already working for a full-time job, say, and I work for 40, 50 hours per week. And like when I finish, I'm just done. Like, how can I create that kind of holistic life you mentioned? The holistic life you teach, right? To really have it all, right? And that has been my passion, because the more I am being able to love myself, right? The more I'm able to open the doors to know I'm exactly perfect at where I am, and to start from there to create a life that I can keep on improving to become a high performer per se, right? To be able to learn more, grow more, building more meaningful connection, and allow myself to have this space, right? To create step by step, to really get to the next level of life that I want to create, right? Without rushing it. Now I get to see myself to create a holistic life, really coming together without pushing myself, right? To be in flow, right? For those who may know the term, to be in flow state, right? That you're not pushing against the current, but you are just surrendering into this beautiful flow of life, that you are growing, that you are evolving, Right. So I would say that's kind of like my passion now. Also why I'm speaking on a lot of different global stages now to help people, to help more freedom seekers to find what's the next step they can take and also take the step to really integrate what they want to truly create in life to make it a reality.
Beautiful. I love it. And it's amazing, that you can, based on your experiences, now you can impart this knowledge onto others, how to be free, how to experience life, how to be happy. And I love how you mentioned the state of flow, because oftentimes, I guess, I don't know about you, but the society, when I was growing up, it's all about you got to do, 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 do. You don't get to be. You forget
Mm.
about that. You are not a human doing, you're a human being. And it's a
Oh,
different
so beautifully said.
paradigm kind of we have to shift. And yeah, state of flow is so much easier when you're not pushing against the current, when you're just following your life and being open to opportunities that come and then choosing to pursue them. What was the moment in your life that caused you to wake up? Was it the time when you, during COVID, or was there another time that kind of you decided that however you were living wasn't working and you wanted to change?
Yeah, so COVID lockdown, the first lockdown when I was in Sydney, I was in a 3 month lockdown. And that's kind of the turning point as I share with you and the audience that, I start having the space to turning inwards, right? To travel inwards. So let me go deeper a little bit on sharing that as well, because I also mentioned, I was on the edge of my health breaking down, right? I have all the CFS and insomnia and all this issue troubling me where Western medicine actually didn't have a solution because for those who may not know, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, it means I'm just tired all day long. But I was just 20 something, right? I'm so young. I thought I should have all the energy in the world, right? But I was so tired, I can't even get off my bed sometimes, right? And I was having constant brain fog, and I start losing my memory. It's like I just remember this one thing to buy in grocery shop, and when I was there, I just can't wait. What's that one thing I came here to buy? So there was so many surprises, happen in my life through my health that I had no choice but to take responsibility on my own, right? Because when I travel inwards, I realized I can't really delegate to delegate my health to an external authority per se, right? So that was kind of the turning point. And of course, I have help, I have support as well. As I share, the Mind Valley community, I found a lot of like-minded people such as yourself, right? Who are into personal growth, who are into personal transformation, right? To be able to hold responsibility and accountability of each other as well, right? To be able to create a different life by being able to see who's the next level of myself. Right. So that transformation kind of emerged at that time, having amazing support and teachers and mentors to be able to go deep, right? To be able to go into a place where it could be feel very daunting, right? To look at the shadows inside you that I was avoiding for over 10 years, right? Why am I not feeling purposeful inside? Why did I not feeling meaningful in my life, even though I have achieved so much already, right? By society standard, I have ticked so many boxes, right? I have an amazing job. I was working for an amazing FTSE 100 multinational company, right? And I was getting paid to travel around the world, and I've been relocating for the last 10 years. And for the reference for the audience as well, for the 8 years prior to COVID-19, right? I didn't stay in the same country for over a year. So I was really constantly moving. I was constantly moving into a new team, working with a new brand, learning about new cultures. I thought that's amazing. I want this, but how can I not feel truly happy from the inside? Right. So only when I really had that space during COVID to travel inwards, to really work with a like-mind communities, I find that, wow, there's a space so much bigger inside us, right? I start finding what I call now, my inner compass, right? I start finding my North Star, right? That's what I call, the the North Star that has been drawing us, that we always know what direction we go to, right? May you call that your intuition, may that call your the speaking from your soul, right? No matter how you want to call it, there's always, we know deep down there is a bigger guidance calling us towards making different decisions, right? And when I start finding my inner compass, I found my North Star, and I found the steps to go towards that, what I call also the GPS system now. As you can say travel to transform. I use a lot of travel metaphors, right? And when I start really connecting the dot and finding a lot of this amazing tools to be able to dive deeper into understanding my purpose, the next level of it, and how to make it a reality. Wow, that personal transformation have offered me so much more, because not only I have reclaimed my health right now, as you know, last time we met, right? I'm an optimized biohacker, right? And what that means is, I understand the art and science of my individual biology, right? I have sleep tracker on my fingers, I have a neural feedback machine to train my neuroplasticity, right? To do deeper layer of meditations, and I have red light therapy machine at my home. I have like 20, 30 other gadgets, to optimize my travel well-being, right? And that's only the health side of it, because, as we say, right, we are living a holistic life, right? We are here to have it all. So, what kind of intellectual development I have for myself, my emotional goal, right? My spiritual development, right? My characteristic, right? What kind of charisma I want to have for me as a person, right? What kind of worldview I'm developing as I'm traveling as well, right? What's my cultural and philosophical development, right? That I aim for. How can I become a better version of global citizen myself, right? What kind of social or relationships I want to build in my circles, right? What kind of community and contribution I want to serve. So having bringing clarity and this conscious awareness into all areas of my life, from the inside out, not in a way that society tell you what you should do, right? What kind of certificate you should do, right? What kind of degree you have to have in order to get this job, right? In order to, really filter out all those noises, but just to go deep inwards and listen to yourself, listen to your soul, listen to your spirit, listen to your own guidance, right? Truly, who you truly are, right? So I really challenge the audience, sometimes it's really easy to go on Instagram, go on Facebook, we look at the amazing life of others. And I get it, I do the same, right? I'm guilty as well. But sometimes just to turn that off, right? Just sometimes just to filter all those noises, but to allow yourself to have some space inwards, right? Just to ask yourself who I truly am, who I really want to be. And that's truly power in that, right? That's the powers that nothing else in the external world can give you, but only yourself, your inner truth, right? Your authentic self are going to give you the answers you may never thought of finding throughout your life, right?
Yeah, totally. You're so right. The answers we seek are already inside of us, but because we have so much external noise, we get distracted. We have squirrel mind. We get attracted to next shiny object or the noise. But meanwhile, the inner voice is inside of us at all times, waiting to be heard. But all the time we hear our ego clear screaming at us. So yeah, when we meditate or when we do practice being present, we get to hear that inner voice and we get to follow it if we trust it, because oftentimes we trust other figures of authority than we trust our own inner voice.
Yeah,
What?
totally. And yeah, and I learned it the hard way as well, as I share on my journey. Like I always thought, I am very specialized in this area, especially as an Asian male, right? Like, if you know about Japanese culture, especially, which has a lot of influence on myself as well. It's like you just develop your life by being very specialized in one thing. That's the reason why, if those of you have traveled to Japan, the sushi and sashimi, they are like top class. Why? Because the chef might be doing sushi for 60 years of their life, nothing else, right? They are so specialized in one thing. And, I kind of have that mindset before. as well as I develop. And that's why I learned it in the hard way because I thought, my health, right? My emotional development, my spirituality, I can delegate to the church, I can delegate it to pharmaceutical industry, I can delegate it to doctors, I can delegate it to whoever I thought would be the authority externally, right? But to reclaim my life means I want to reclaim all areas of those. And I'm not saying you can't go to church, and I'm not saying you can't work with a doctor, right? And I'm not saying you can't work with those amazing support around you, right? All the resources available in this globalized world, as I say again, right? But being able to understand you have the sole responsibility in creating a different kind of life in every other, in all those area of life, right? In every category of life, and starting from there, right? It gives you a so much more different trajectory, a different roadmap again. Using a travel metaphor, it gives you a different roadmap because now rather than using a map that is handing that down by others, right? A map that have already drawn by others, you got to re-experience the map, the territory by yourself, right? You got to draw the map, the path that you got to choose. And it's a very different way of living life.
Totally, totally. What were the three biggest lessons you learned as a result of your wake up call?
Mm. Wow, there's so many lessons as we're sharing here with the audience, but I think what my intuition feel like the first biggest lesson would be to love yourself more, truly. And before you feel like, oh, I know about it already. I learned self-love. Everyone's talking about it in this modern age now. I want to really challenge you to think about it in a way. I think especially because I know your audience is pretty intuitive as well. So I think we can use a little bit more vocabulary to challenge them that I believe we are living in a heavily skilled masculine society, right? And what we are doing in terms of this human evolution or this evolution path of this age, right, is that we are kind of bringing the feminine back into the world, right? And this is the interesting part because there has been a lot of conflicts in between the masculine and feminine, right? Because at the end, I believe we are here actually to bring the balance, to balance both the masculine and feminine. And in order to do that, we have to love ourselves more with the perfect balance. And just to also give the definition a little bit for those um, who may be confused with what we are speaking about here in terms of masculine and feminine. So masculine for me, right? And again, like we have all the very definition on this, and you may call it the yin and yang, you may call it the lines and circles. So whatever vocabulary the listener you have, just let us sink in because I think we all have a very different way to look at things. But for me, when I look at the masculine, this is about the order, right? This is about the structure. This is a little bit of capitalism and the commercialism and how we have built our patriarchic society based on, right? And again, it gives us a foundation, right? It gives us the materialistic support, right? So that we're not in a survival in per se. But it only gets you so far because, like you said, right, Rina, it's like when we keep doing, when we keep just looking at the dollar sign itself, like where does that lead to, right? Is that really fulfillment? Is that really happiness, right? Are we suppressing our emotions and creativity and intuition when living this kind of life, right? So to bring it back, into a perfect balance, that's where the feminine comes in, right? The feminine is where, there's creative, right? There's intuition. It's about flowing within the structure as well, right? It's about being connected with ourselves to really see love through unconditionally, right? To see love unconditionally, right? And to bring that balance back into the masculine structure that we have, now we get to learn to love ourselves a little bit more. And I think it goes way more than the self-love, the banner that we are waving. And, a lot of the modern day, we keep talking about self-care, treat yourself better. I think it goes deeper than that because we are all as a collective together, right? We are all citizens of the world. And in order to bring that balance back so that we have a perfectly harmonized societies in a perfectly harmonized planet that we can really live in this unity together, right? To love ourselves a little bit more is to take that step to really say, there's a better way of living together. There's a better way to treat each other through unconditional love while having a structure together to honor that. Yes, there's always an element of capitalism here because that's what brings us stabilized structure and also materialism and also all the technology that you and I can connect right now, right? The internet and everything. But at the same time, also humanizing, everything that we are creating, right? And I think that perfect balance is one of the biggest lessons, because that's not just looking at it at a global scale, it also looking at it in a micro perspective in my own life as well, right? And I spend enough time to think, doing, and I spend enough time to go through the pain. So that's why I think that's one of the biggest lessons, I've got to learn to really bring that balance in myself when I'm not like thinking I have to be one or another, to honor both the masculine and the feminine in me. Wow, my life got to be in flow so much more now with a structure.
Beautiful, very well said. Yeah, loving yourself is important because oftentimes we put ourselves on the back burner. We got to take care of others, and then bringing balance. Yeah, you are right. Uh, we gotta have, how you call it, not having so many balls in the air that you have to difficulty catching them, but arranging your life in such a way that you have more flow, you have more ease, as opposed to feeling burned out or underappreciated.
Mm,
I love those lessons. Did you have a hero growing
mm.
up? Somebody you looked up to?
That's such an interesting question. Yeah, I think we we have people we feel aspire and inspire, right? And what I feel like I'm gonna share maybe two persons because when I was younger, I really look up to Steve Jobs. As many people would, because he's a successful entrepreneur. He is a successful creator and inventor, right? And he has done so much good. And I'm using a MacBook right in front of me, my iPhone as well. I'm a big fan of Apple in a sense, and because I believe really challenging that paradigm is I really love the way that, he challenged the status quo, right? But here's the thing, it's so interesting that as I share this, because I used to past tense just now, right? Because I used to look up to him as an entrepreneur, as somebody who doesn't sleep much, he is always working, right? I found a lot of inspiration in that, to be a high achiever, right? Because I'm a high achiever myself, and I'm sure a lot of listeners, you can resonate being a professional, being able to create more and do more, to contribute more. And that's the reason, like I really find the inspiration in him. But now that I look back, right, after I share what I found this new balance in me, right, this masculine and feminine, while I still love Steve Jobs a lot, I don't really think, I'm on the same path again. Why? Because I realize if I have to kind of sacrifice my health, right? Which he did in a way, to look after himself, right? He chose to work and really launch the next big inventions rather than taking good care of his own health, and also his family time as well. He spent a lot of working hours as well, which I honor as a person. To make that choice is a tough decision as well. But I don't necessarily, make the same choice now, looking at that inspiration, because I realize there's so much more I want to seek in life, the happiness, the meaningful connections with my families and friends, the holistic health that I can create. So, I can also build a body, that sustain me to live. I aim to live 120 until. And like I think my choice is a little bit different now, to look at who I look up to. And I think today too, I can't really pick one name, to be honest, because I have a lot of amazing mentors, I have a lot of amazing supporters, and a lot of people, I look up to. But I think right in this moment, I think I would mention the name Regan Hillier. She is one of my favorite teachers on manifestations as well. She is a multiple serial entrepreneur and philanthropist. And, throughout the last few 9 months, 9 months so far, I get to be her mentee as well in her inner circles, in her manifesting circle. And I've learned so much from her because of, the balance I share with you, because I realized, I was such a broken Asian man living in a patriarchic society, feeling stressed before. Even though I have my spiritual awakening per se, 3.5 years ago, as I share, also hell was that door for me to go through my health transformation. But still, right, like, we are good at one thing in one area doesn't mean we are good at another thing in another area, right? And I still found myself in my career, in my finance, in my job, I was still having this mentality of doing more in order to create more wealth, right? But Regan really showed me a different way, bringing this balance between this masculine and the feminine, that we got to enjoy what we are creating, right? That we got to not pushing through in order to see the results, right? That there is a art of mastering that feminine energy when we are living in masculine society as well, that I get to really focusing on my impact, right? That I got to really focusing on what I enjoy, that I really got to focusing on the happiness I got to share with my friends and family. And the more I focus on that, the more I focus on that beautiful positive energy that I'm emitting to others. I start seeing the wealth that I'm seeking coming back to me as well, right? The more I give, the more I found myself receiving. And that is a big piece of surrendering into it. And, for the listener, if this sounds a little bit too philosophical, I want to say, surrender into what you believe in and surrender into your deeper purpose. Doesn't mean you are giving it up. Doesn't mean you are waving the white flag in a patriarchic way of understanding it, right? It's like, oh, now I have to give up everything and just trust that the universe or the God or whatever belief system you allow that is gonna give me. No, it's actually the other way around. Because surrendering into believing your impacts and your deeper purpose means you are leaning in. You are leaning in, you are trusting it more, that you are on the right path, right? That you are in good hands, right? That you are not trying to micromanage every single step anymore, but knowing you are working with a bigger flow that is bigger than you, right? That you are working with the universe or God or karma or your higher self or spirit or quantum field, again, whatever belief system you allow, but you're working with something bigger than you, right? That our small brain here just can't comprehend sometimes. But if you look back, right, I challenge you to all the listeners, if you look back in your life, right, every single most successful, right, milestone that you have achieved, right, the biggest decision that you have in your life, right, may that be your marriage, right, may that be your travels, may that be going into a job that going outside your comfort zone, right? No matter what it is. If you think about this most successful milestone you have created again and again, I bet you there is something bigger than you in place that you might be reaching the right people at the right time, speaking the right thing at the right place, right? There's an element that we are working with a bigger force than ourselves already. So really surrendering into it is to leaning in. It's not to give up. It's the other way around, to be trusting this place. And, thanks to Regan, to answer the question, my new inspirational figure right now, I'm also creating my own travel to transform community, right? As I say, my mission is to really impacting and awakening more global citizens because I truly believe one another. Doesn't matter what your skin color is, doesn't matter what your eye color, not what your hair color, what cultural background you are at, what educational level you're at, we are one way or another a global citizen, right? And we are living in this unity in one global village. So I'm also creating a community of transformational travelers, right? Who are able to embody everything we have shared, throughout this interview, right? Where we are able to combine and integrate this beautiful outer journey with our inner journey together, right? Integrally and live a thriving life, to live a global, extraordinary life, right? So yeah, that's a long answer to question, but these are the inspirational figures I'm now, and I hope for the listeners, no matter who the inspirational figures you have right now that you look up to, right? Let that be a guidance, yes, and also let your inner guidance be the other part of the guidance as well, so that you can really put together to really walk on your path with all these amazing different puzzles and pieces of yourself all together.
Thank you. Yes, you're so right. Was there a book that inspired your journey or something memorable that you can share in your transformation journey?
Yeah, oh, certainly. And I'm an avid reader. And, during COVID, that was 2021. Yeah, I think 2021, I read 50 books around,
Oh,
which is
wow.
around one book a week, which, is a goal that, I still aspire. And also I encourage a lot of my friends and my coaches to do so as well. Even one book per month is going to transform your life, right? And there are so many books, I can recommend, but I think right at this moment, I think my intuition want to share, the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishnekayani, which again, you and I, we are serving at the Mind Valley, and Vision is the CEO and the founder, right, of Mind Valley, this amazing personal growth platform. And I think the Code of the Extraordinary Mind really shift my perspective so much because he's a very intellectual person, and he is able to use a lot of frameworks and models which I actually use as well. Um, when I was writing my book, Travel to Transform, in my own book, in my own coaching modality, in my online courses I'm teaching right now, I combine a lot of his teaching about the different level of consciousness, right? About, how we can break the paradigm, right? How we can break what he called the system of living and the model of reality, right? How we can really get to play to shift those. So yeah, his book has a really big influence on me when I first get into personal growth because it really empowered me to see through the different layers of the world views, how I can combine everything I have already learned throughout my personal journey and really put that into practice as well on understanding this is the way of living I've been setting myself, what I have been really been on autopilot, right? What kind of conditioning from my cultures that now I got to wake up to. So yeah, that will be the one book I felt recommending since you asked the question.
Awesome. Yeah, I do love that book. I read it, I think, couple times, and yeah, it opens your mind to the possibilities. And yeah, he's very intellectual, and I like how he structures the ideas and that he makes it easy to digest and to understand and then to implement and to ask the questions of ourselves. Because oftentimes we go through life, unless something happens, we don't even get to pause and ask the question. We're just kind of following along, unless something
Mm,
causes us, like, why am I here? What is my purpose? What's the point of all this? And then we start to question, and then we start to read books like that kind of inspire us to go deeper, to think better, to see something that we didn't experience before. So I love that. What was the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
mm. Such a beautiful question. I love that question as well because most of the time, I think we tend to ask the question, what's the biggest thing like, you have done that shift the trajectory? But sometimes it's actually the small thing, right? It's the same thing, I share with my private client as well, like sometimes because I coach clients who are world record breaking athletes, right? I coach six-figure entrepreneurs, right? And I coach a lot of these amazing, inspiring people who are aspiring to move humanity forward, right? And me as a coach, I'm here to help them see what they haven't seen yet, right? So that they can create a transformation quicker and become a catalyst of it, right? And they often ask the question is like, okay, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that as well. Like I want the results to be quicker. What have I not seen, right? What's the big thing? And then sometimes I challenge them. It's like, actually, what is the small thing? You can tweak, right? Out of everything you are doing right now, what's the little small thing you can tweak, right? Because if you think about a rocket, right, propelling, right, a rocket going to the moon, if you are like 0.00001 degree, right? If you're from that small amount of missing from the trajectory, you'll be going to, I don't know, Mars, to another planet rather than Moon, because that little small degree of error, that little small tweak actually can make you go so far to another place. So the other way is around. The other way is the same, right? If you are able to find everything that, as a high performer right now in your life that you might be, handling, your job, working for long hours, and at the same time taking care of your family, right? At the same time, you want to travel more, but you don't know how, right? At the same time, you may be having this health crisis, like, I don't know what to do. And at the same time, there are so many things already. Like, how can I really, right, to create this, global extraordinary life you mentioned, right? But you see, because what I always share on stage as well is like, creating that extraordinary life doesn't really happen overnight. It's not an overnight occurrence, right? It's a step by step by shining your conscious awareness into the kind of life and your purpose you want to contribute to, and taking the step one by one, like making this what I call the compound effect, right? 4% better day by day, right? That's how you see result. So to answer the question, right, the small things that everyone can take is to understand what's your 4% improvement you can do, you can implement every single day. Because by being a 4% better person than you were yesterday, 1 year later, you'll see this compound effect. You're 37 times even way more better than who you already are sitting today, right? And that's a really powerful compounding effect. Because when you look back, it feels so easy every day. But 1 year later, you found yourself really propelled to a completely different planet, a completely different goals, a completely different place you would set yourself to be. So that's a small thing I would say, to us. Don't think about in a way, I have to do all my practices tomorrow. I have to do my meditation, yoga, plus sauna, plus this, plus that, plus going to the retreat, plus reading more book, plus taking care of my family, plus doing a full-time job, plus doing the side hustle, plus creating another things that, entrepreneurially I want to create. No, you don't have to do it tomorrow altogether. Give yourself some play, give yourself some grace, right? Give yourself some space. Give yourself some trust into the flow. Just pick one. What is the 4% I can create tomorrow? Pick one. Focus on that. And next day the same, another 4%, another 4%, another 4%. 1 year later, you're gonna see everything that you really wanted to create. They all happen because you allow it to happen, because you trust that it doesn't have to be happening overnight. And that's the magic to it.
Yes, very well said. I do also believe in compound effect. And another book I love is Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, about 1% changes that we do on a day-to-day basis. Then we can see 365-degree improvement. And you are also, yeah, the change doesn't happen overnight. It's those little things that we do throughout different aspects of our lives that kind of contribute then to a bigger effect. Like there is no overnight successes. And another great metaphor, I don't remember where I read it, but when a bamboo tree is growing, there are for 5 years you see nothing coming through the ground. Meanwhile, it builds an enormous root system, and only after fifth year you finally see something popping out of the ground. And if we give up during those 5 years, then there is no bamboo that will grow. And then in the
Mm,
next 2 weeks, it grows, I think, like very, very tall, very fast. But for first 5 years, you see nothing externally. It's all kind of an inside job.
mm.
What was that compound effect? Would you say it was a balancing of all those disciplines that you were practicing across different areas that kind of contributed to where you are today?
Yeah, I I think the most important thing is your conscious awareness,
Mhm.
right? It's clarity, right? So freedom is one of my core values, and I believe awareness set you free, right? Because by having clarity in any area of your life, that's the power to it. You're halfway. You're halfway there. Why? Because most people they are just sleepwalking, right? They're sleepwalking in among society in their job, right? With their relationship they're building, with the same circle, again, again throughout their life, repeating the same thing, right? That's the reason because they are sleepwalking through life. They didn't have clarity, right? And I'm not pointing finger. I speak it through my own pain as well. And as I told you, I spent 10 years, a decade of my life, traveling around the world, sleepwalking. Right. I was drinking so much alcohol. I was DJing at night. I thought I was happy. I thought I was amazing on the stage. People were clapping and dancing for me. No, right? Because I didn't have clarity in my life. I just thought that is successful, quote unquote, because that's what society, traditional education, right? People around me tell me what success looks like, right? So the key thing here is for all the listener is to really build up this conscious awareness in you, right? This conscious awareness of being able to having a deeper layer of awareness about who you are, what your inner values are, right? What kind of contribution, what kind of person, right? That you are here to serve the world, right? Having this inner deeper journey to know who you are so that on the outside, your outer journey is going to reflect the same as well, right? The energy that you are emitting as a person is how you're going to change the world. So the first step is really shining this conscious awareness into who you are. And obviously, in my coaching program, in my travel mastery online courses as well, in my book, Travel to Transform, this is always the key first step to be able to find a clarity, right? And after finding clarity, is to craft powerful goals for yourself as well, right? To be able to set yourself on the course to where you are. And then the next step is to integrate, right? Integrate the strategic plan you have crafted, right? So that you are hitting the goals, so that all this fluffy thing that you got from meditation, from your inner guidance, is not just an intuitive thing, right? It's not just something fluffy flying in the clouds, right? It's just your dream and your visualization, but you're actually taking the step to bring them into integration, reflecting your reality, right? Reflecting in your day to day, right? And then integrate it, and then going back to the cycle again, shining more conscious awareness. What's the next layer of impact I can create now that I've created this new life in whatever category of life I'm looking at, my career, my finance, my relationship, my health, my intellectual growth, my spiritual development, whatever it is, right? Shining awareness again, what's the deeper layer of it, right? And then crafting the plan, the strategic plan again, and then integrate it. And the cycle goes on and on and on and on, right? Because as we are growing up, right, from an integral perspective, we are growing up like a spiral, right? We will never be at the same point twice in this beautiful journey called life. We are only spiraling up, keep going to a different point, looking at life from a different perspective with a higher level of conscious awareness, right? So if we allow ourselves to evolve, if we allow ourselves to see life from a different perspective, to expand our consciousness, that's where it's going to take you to the place you never thought imagined it's possible to go.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you. What do you want to create next? Any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Yeah, and amazing question as well. And I like how there's a time frame, kind of implication in that question, because it means what is creating at this moment. And what I'm creating right now doesn't mean what I was creating before, and doesn't mean what I will be creating in the future, right? And the same for the audience, because this is what I, always preach on stage. If you really want to live a multi-passionate life, right? If you resonate with that word, right? To be a multi-potential life, right? That you are here to really experience and live the full spectrum of human experience, right? That you are here, that you can do whatever you want and have to have it all. If you really believe this rationale, even though it may sound far-fetched sometimes when you're looking at your current problem, but if you truly believe we deserve that, right, as a human, so that we can live through all spectrum of all human experience, we got to enjoy everything. If this resonates with you, then, to answer the question, what I'm creating now is I'm creating an online course, a program called the Travel Mastery Blueprint. And I'm in my next phase, right? I'm creating, based on my best-selling book, Travel to Transform, I'm creating a conscious community of global citizens, right? A community that we are able to integrate both the outer travel journey and inner travel journey together seamlessly, so that we can accelerate our growth, so that we can accelerate our impact to the world, so that we have a like mind space together to be able to hold hands in this unity, in this global village, right? To make the world a better place, right? Through diversity, no matter what your modality is, no matter whether you're a full-time job, whether you're a full-time nomad, right? No matter you're an entrepreneur or not, right? No matter what you are, who you perceive yourself to be, you know, I'm creating this space as I walk through the past, alone as a solo traveler. And I realized, creating a space like this and creating a course like this to be able to help more people to see through the same, to be able to build this transformation from the inside out is so valuable. So that is my goal at the moment, still the same mission, to be able to awaken more citizens of the world. And if the listeners for you, if this resonate with you to really blend in and take the next level of game for yourself, both the inner and outer journey, so that you can create the fastest transformation possible to create a global extraordinary life for yourself. Yeah, connect with me as well. And I am here to serve just like all of you, because I believe by raising our collective consciousness together, as we have spoke about many times throughout this interview, is that the more consciously aware we are, the more we are able to help others to see more as well. And that's how we can create a much better planet together, to really go out from this patriarchic setting of societies and models and the way of life, and to move into a new world where we are able to celebrate diversity, we are able to celebrate freedom, we are able to celebrate each other, no matter again what our skin color is, what our eye color is, what our hair color is, no matter where we are from, what side of the world, right? We are able to hold hands together and make the world a better place. And in this process, to be able to joyfully, meaningfully, and purposefully travel to explore the world together, to see what this world has to offer to us on our personal path.
Beautiful, and congratulations on creating this online course. That's building a community. That's amazing. Anything I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
I think right now, I think we have covered a lot of amazing, juicy stuff in this call, and I feel like we have touched on all the mind, body, spirit aspect as a person as well, because I know this is a very essential part of reclaiming our life as well, because we're not just claiming a part of it, right? Not just parenting, not just the financial abundance of it, but really all spectrum of different category of life. So I feel like we have really touched on it beautifully in all spectrum. And I think what might be something to add is I feel like in this moment I wanted to share with the listeners that, to be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And in fact, like everything else can be Google. That's what I always say from modern metaphor again. Everything else can be Google. You can find literally any pieces of information in the world, but except for yourself. Except for yourself. You can't Google yourself who you are. That's not a piece of information you can find from the external, but truly to be your authentic self. So I think that's the last thing I want to share as a nugget of wisdom to drop.
Yes, you're so right. Everybody else is already taken. We gotta just be ourselves. We don't have to be a cookie cutter. We don't have to copy other people. We just be ourselves. Very well said. If people would like to connect with you, learn more about you, where would they go?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Instagram, on my social media. So that's Freeman Fung Official. And yeah, feel free to connect with me for all your listeners if you resonate with the messages today. And if you see yourself a global citizen as well, that you want to live this extraordinary life to reclaim your life. Yeah, shoot us a message, a voice message as well. What you have really taken out from this episode, from this beautiful space, from this beautiful podcast as well. And for those who would be interested to take a deeper step to really create your transformation, you can go to my website as well, www.traveltransform.com. So my main offer right now is the online course, Travel Mastery Blueprint, as I share, where I help you to really take the step to create your own blueprint, to be your authentic self, to create a travel and global life yourself through the inside out. So if that's something you're interested, I really welcome you into my community and my Travel to Transform world. And yeah, this will be the place to connect with me. And thank you so much for today, Rina, for this beautiful space. And it's so lovely to witness each other, co-creating to make the planet a beautiful place through personal transformation. And I really honor your work, your podcast, your messages as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for sharing your wake up call and your powerful lessons. And I love the mission you're on now, creating this global community and letting other people experience what travel could be like, and traveling back, connecting the journey from external to internal and kind of balancing this out. So thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Rina. Thanks for having me again today.